Hello everyone and welcome. We are the Frozen Gamers, gamers hailing from the great cold state of Alaska. I am your host, Nathan Dugas. Joining me on the first day of mud season in Alaska is the man who needs no introduction, unless you go outside of our small social circles, Mr. John Flam.
That would be me, Jonathan Flam. And he's right, it was cold here in Alaska. It snowed today. It was depressing.
Reaching warmer weather though, and most of our snow is gone, so we're just now getting into mud season, which usually comes in April.
We replaced spring with just mud. That's kind of how it works here.
And unfortunately, Ben Greason was not able to join us this week, but hopefully he'll be back with us next week. So John, what are you currently playing and or watching?
Ooh, watching. Well, other than mainstream TV type stuff, I actually have been catching up a couple episodes of Numbers on Netflix. I haven't really watched the season straight through, but every now and again popping in episodes. Pretty interesting so far. Definitely a math propaganda show, but I kind of like it. So, good humor in it. Something different, crime fighter. But as for games right now, I haven't done too terribly much. Been playing some of the same old ones right now. A little Battlefield occasionally, but then I get bored with that and throw something else in. But looking for another good title to start in on again. And you, Nathan, what are you looking at?
Well, I say currently I'm watching a lot of Mythbusters, mostly just working through all the old seasons.
Those are good.
Of course, Netflix doesn't have all the episodes, but Amazon Instant does have every single episode. So we're just kind of going through all the old seasons and watching anything we haven't seen yet, and then occasionally just watching episodes that record from live TV. Apart from that, also I've been working my way through Cheers again.
Oh, awesome!
Which is a pretty funny show, and I'm actually enjoying it more the second time. I think one of the things I like best about it is that it's something that I don't have to really watch it. I can just kind of listen to it while I'm doing other things.
Right.
Which coincidentally is pretty much what I did the first time through.
Nice.
But yeah, I felt like working through it again, and then I'll rewatch Frasier, which I've already seen, like 3 or 4 times, at least, probably more than that. I've watched it a lot. I pretty much rewatch Frasier every year.
Well, if it's a good show, it's worth watching.
Yeah, it is. So. It really is. As far as what I'm playing, still Monster Hunter 3. I'm working on that a bit, and my wife just started playing that, so it's kind of interesting seeing her initial struggles, especially because she's not much of a gamer. But we made a deal with each other that if she starts playing Monster Hunter, so that I have someone to hunt with, I'll start reading a book series she's into, the Wheel of Time series. And it's mostly just because she's about the same with games as I am with reading, and that she does very little gaming and a lot of reading, and I do very little reading and a lot of gaming. So, yeah, I
think it's a good deal.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I've heard those books are really good, so yeah. I should start them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing Monster Hunter. I also started playing Darksiders because I got that one on Steam. Late last year.
What genre is that one again?
It's basically like a mature version of a Zelda game.
Okay, awesome.
It's very much an homage in that sense. I would say it's not nearly as good.
Right.
I mean, I've only played like maybe an hour and a half, something like that. So, I mean, I haven't put a ton of time into it. I just feel like it relies a little bit too heavily on combat and doesn't have enough puzzle solving in there. I mean, basically the extent of the puzzle solving I've had so far has been pushing blocks.
Oh, nice.
Which, is really nothing at all.
Right.
And, I don't know, I mean, it is a tougher game, and it has a lot of blood, but not as gory as some other games. I don't know. It's a very dark game, which, makes sense since it's called Darksiders.
Hence the title, right? Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it's theologically accurate by any means, even though it's supposed to be somewhat Horsemen of the Apocalypse kind of thing. But
interesting.
It's interesting enough, and I've put in,
worth checking out at least.
I guess. I mean, if you could get it for cheap, I think it's worth checking out. I mean, I got that and Darksiders 2 for under $14 with all the DLC during a Steam sale.
Awesome. The Steam sales are fantastic. Yeah. I picked up like Batman Arkham City for $7.50 off of that.
Yeah.
It was amazing deals.
Mm-hmm.
So it always catch me with good sales.
Yeah, Darksiders has been one. I just got PlayStation Plus, so I've downloaded a couple of the freebie games on there. That is the ones that don't cost anything extra.
Right.
So far, just Demon's Souls and Infamous 2. And
Which is a fantastic game.
Yeah.
I loved both of those, actually. The first one was very good, and so is the second one. I recommend them.
Yeah, I messed with Demon's Souls a little bit. I didn't even touch Infamous 2 because I want to play the first one first.
Right.
But with Demon's Souls, I have to be in the right mood to play a game that's really challenging and kind of has more of a dark setting.
Right.
'Cause it's just extremely dark, and
well, the name kind of goes.
Yeah,
back
I mean, it does, but it's just I can only take so much of that kind of stuff before I'm just kind of like, I feel like moving on.
Right.
Getting something that has more of a mixed mood. I mean,
Yeah.
a mature game doesn't have
a little
to be
lighter atmosphere.
exactly a lighter atmosphere. That's more what it is than anything else. I mean, there are plenty of mature games that are great games.
Oh, sure.
And that one, I mean, I'm sure it'd be good if I really got into it, but I have to be in the right mood.
Sure.
And yeah, I also actually, this one's unrelated to PlayStation Plus, but I checked out the demo for BioShock.
Ooh, yes.
Because I still haven't played that.
I have played the first one. I haven't played any of the others. What do you think so far?
I played probably about 15 minutes, and I was like, nope, that's it.
Oh, I love that game.
It was just. I am one of those people who does get creeped out by certain things.
Fair enough. And it
the
is really
splicers,
creepy.
especially when you first get off the elevator thing,
Yep.
when you get into Rapture, it's just like that woman splicer. I mean, it's not the look that creeps me out.
Oh, of course not.
It's just her voice.
It's very good with the music and the effects. I have never jumped. Well, no, I take that back. I've jumped a couple of times in games, but that one, when you got good headphones on or something, and all of a sudden something's behind you, that one did. I almost chucked a mouse once because I was so zoned in on the game.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just it didn't make me jump or anything. It was just it just creeped me out.
Well,
and it didn't help that
when you play late at night either.
Yeah, I was playing late at night, and I had my headphones on,
Yep.
which are good quality headphones, of course. And I mean, I think it's a game I could get into, and I will probably try to play it on a Saturday afternoon or something. When it's not so late out and I can be a little bit more calm. But it was definitely something that was just nope, I don't want to deal with that right now.
I having played it, I did really like it. And then having actually played System Shock 2, which is by the same people, just a much older game, and heavily influenced the BioShock games. I can really appreciate BioShock because. Playing System Shock 2, the graphics are terrible, but the sound mastering was so well done.
Yeah.
Suddenly there'd be something behind you, and it would be actually really add to that kind of survival horror mixture that they had going. And so then playing BioShock was a refresher for that. But I'm just a fan of that. Speaking of being scared, though, in college we had a game called Fear. Did you ever play or hear of?
I've heard of it, where it has a Ring-esque chick.
Yeah, there's this little girl named Alma, and she's so creepy. I don't know what it is about children in games.
Yeah, they just want to scare you as much as possible, because that's pretty much the scariest thing, is demon children.
It was
where it's like you feel like, I want to kill them, but at the same time they're a child, so you're like, I can't kill them. And from what I hear, the little girls in BioShock are kind of like that, too.
They're... to a different extent, obviously, from Fear, that's where the BioShock is interesting, because you can actually make choices, and that will affect the ending, and so they can either help you or not, type of thing, so that's kind of the interesting part. But I just know, going back to Fear, with that game, my buddy had played it, and he lent me a copy of it, and I was in the middle playing it, and it was late, and the lights were all off, and my headphones were on, and he knew which part I was at, and he snuck up behind me. And just as this skeleton pops out and grabs you, he grabbed me, and I did throw my mouse on that one. He scared the crap out of me. It was quite exciting, but I got him back.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know. I always do like when a game really immerses you that much. But yeah, those ones with horror elements can definitely get you.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think
they're not for everyone, but
yeah, I think that if I, got to the point where I kind of got used to that sort of the lady's voice, because I think that was really the only thing that creeped me out.
It does have a very eerie essence, especially when you first get there and the game's so new.
Yeah, I mean, like I remember a while back, I guess back when I was still a student up at ABC, and Mark was playing it in the lounge, and I just remember hearing that voice, and it creeped me out, and it made me not want to play the game, and I just, I finally got around to, there are people who are saying, I'm not a fan of first-person shooters, but I really love this game,
right.
And it's one where I've just been wanting to give it a chance, because I may very well end up liking it. Kind of like with Half-Life, specifically Half-Life 2. I mean, like, a little bit, especially when I was going through Ravenholm.
That part was pretty creepy the first time.
It creeped me out the first time. After that, not so much.
Yeah.
I mean, once you get used to dealing with the head crab zombies, it's just kind of, it's not too much of a big deal. But, yeah, I mean, this one's just different. It's just, I don't know. I think I just have to get used to that creepy voice, and once I get used to it, then it won't bother me so much.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah, even so, I mean, it was definitely a pretty game, considering that it's pretty old. And I'll try to play through the whole demo and then make my decision based on that.
Right.
Watch out for a good sale.
Yeah, I haven't heard too much about the second one. I did hear they tried to add a multiplayer element, which was pretty bad. I'm not sure about the campaign itself, but it might be one worth checking out if you end up going.
Different things, but
as for BioShock Infinite, that is one on my list actually of purchases because I have only heard amazing reviews for it.
Yeah.
So that might be one worth checking out for sure.
Yeah, I mean, BioShock Infinite, I mean, I've heard a lot of really good things about it. It does look like it would be a fun game.
Oh, yeah.
I figure, I want to play the first one.
Oh, sure. Definitely.
Especially because, as far as I know, there's some huge twist, and I like big twists in games, because that's always, especially when it actually surprises me.
Right.
And apart from that, I also am thinking that I need to actually start finishing some games.
You have quite the list, don't you?
I start games, and I play for a while, and then for some reason I just decide to start up another game, or I'm just not in the mood to play something, or, whatever, and so what I need to do is, I'd like to finish L.A. Noire, because I'm most of the way through that, but I haven't touched it in a while.
That game looked really sweet.
It really is a great game. I mean, of Rockstar's games, it's my second favorite, with Red Dead Redemption being my first.
Right.
But
actually, speaking of Red Dead Redemption, me and a couple other guys were talking not too long ago and thought it'd be really cool. We have the third-person Western shooter, Red Dead Redemption, but how sweet would it be to have a first-person Western? I really can't think off the top of my head of too many games that have done that.
Yeah, there were some. There was at least one in the PS2 era.
Right, and I want to say I saw one for 360, a demo, but it didn't seem to take off at all. And I think that would be a really cool era to play. I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm a sucker for revolvers and lever-action rifles.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I would be interested in that or not, but I definitely. I mean, Red Dead Redemption was just such a good game.
Oh, sure, and I do love the third-person games. Mm-hmm. They seem to do very good with those, but I just thought it was interesting and really thinking, like, for first-person shooters, because I do enjoy a lot of those.
Yeah.
You have a lot of World War II. And then there's a lot of now modern stuff or possibly futuristic, but I can't really think of too much Western type of stuff per se. If any of you listeners have any that you would think of, go ahead and post a comment and we'll possibly check it out. I'd be curious to see what's out there for Western games, but I can't think of any off the top of my head at least.
Yeah.
So something definitely to look into or would be cool for a company to do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm obviously still hoping that they'll do either a sequel or a prequel to Red Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Because, it was just so good.
So good, yeah.
I really love a lot of things about it. I mean, while some people didn't like the fact that the environments were, very empty, I mean, besides the fact that it fit with the time period it was set in, being in the desert, mostly in southern parts of the U.S. I'm not sure where all. There might have been some in California and maybe Texas. I don't know. I can't remember where everything was, but it doesn't really matter. Regardless, it was one game that just, it had so many good things about it. I really loved the music.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed...
that adds a lot to a game.
It really does, especially with that game. I mean, it has such a fantastic soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
And, wandering around on your horse, sometimes it was just nice, because it's fairly quiet, but there's the ambiance from the music and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I don't know, it was one thing that I enjoyed a lot more than I ever did driving in GTA 4.
Interesting.
I mean, GTA 4, the driving mechanics work really well. I mean, they're very realistic.
Right.
But even with that being said, I got so sick of dealing with the traffic. And maybe that's just because I'm, used to small town life, but I don't know. I really liked how simple it was to control. I mean, to ride a horse
mm-hmm.
compared to driving and... But anyway.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any other games that I'm playing, but that's probably a good thing.
Well, my problem right now is that for at least not playing extra, I have a couple that I really need to start. But I'm getting caught up in the free-to-play games right now because there are definitely some good titles out there. I'm playing PlanetSide 2 right now, and messed with the World of Tanks a little bit. That one's pretty interesting. And then I just got introduced to another one, Warframe. Which is like a third-person shooter. It's still in beta, but it's an open beta right now. You can download it off Steam. But those are... the draws because they're free to start, and then if you want extra enhancements, you can pay through microtransactions, but you aren't obligated. The problem with starting those is they don't really ever end.
Yeah.
And so, especially PlanetSide 2, it's ridiculous. You get on the server and you're having a battle with hundreds and hundreds of people, and it never really ends. So I'm messing with those at the moment, trying to see what I think of them. Initial impressions are pretty good, but it just adds another game that the replay value is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can't finish it, so to speak.
Yeah. Speaking of free-to-play games, with PlayStation Plus, which, I guess isn't technically free, but one of the reasons why I decided to finally go for it is because tomorrow they're going to have Sleeping Dogs available.
Oh, I've heard good things.
I've heard a lot of good things about that one. I played a little bit of the demo, but I didn't have my controller with me, so I didn't quite get to experience it as much because it's a little harder with a keyboard and a mouse. But most people were saying, and I kind of remember this from the little bit that I played, that the combat is very similar to the Batman games.
Oh, nice. And those were well done for sure.
Yeah. So I'll look forward to playing that one at some point. But of course, obviously, I'm going to play Infamous first.
Yeah.
Because I figure, since I was able to get Infamous 2 through PlayStation Plus, I might as well play both games.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And with that one, actually, which is kind of cool, it is semi-free roam. I mean, you can go and you can roam around and you can complete side missions whenever, but at the same time, the story still, in order to get further places or move to different parts of the world, you have to complete that. Yeah. And the story is pretty interesting, at least in my opinion. I found it very interesting. And then since you are a completionist and you like getting 100%, it actually is pretty easy to do in that game.
Good.
I think I completed almost every side mission within.
Nice.
Maybe there might have been a couple that I didn't because the main campaign had ended and there were still a few, and so I didn't need to carry on anymore. But it's really fun, and plus once you get the power to ride on the tracks, almost like a skateboard, the railroad tracks, it's really fun. So I recommend it, especially if no one's ever played it. It's a really good game. And the second one also equally is good.
Yeah. And I've played so few games on my PS3 since I got it. I mean, I bought those few games, and the only ones I've really put a lot of time into are Red Dead and Final Fantasy 13.
Right.
And I still haven't finished Final Fantasy 13, and I didn't do all the side missions in Red Dead mostly because of something to do with the ending, and I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Thank you, because I still need to tackle that one.
Well, whatever you want to tackle, remember I do have a copy.
It's true. Yeah, those are definitely ones worth playing for sure. If you've never tried Infamous or Red Dead Redemption, they're definitely worth looking into for sure. All right, what do we have in the news category right now?
All right. Well, one of the big things that was just put up today. I'm assuming you heard the rumors about the new Xbox being requiring being always on for online. Like you can't play without being online.
Yes, I actually did hear that. Quite a bit of a heated Twitter battle apparently was going on with that.
Yeah.
What info did you find out on that?
Well, apparently, according to an internal Microsoft memo,
Okay.
The Durango, well, the codename Durango
Right.
For the new console is not going to require an internet connection always on.
Yeah.
And from what the memo said, that it should the games, people should be able to play single player games offline and watching Blu-rays and that sort of thing.
Good.
Which means basically, they've confirmed that it's going to have Blu-ray, which is
well,
cool.
they need to because Blu-ray is a big standard now.
Yeah, it really is. It wasn't. It obviously wasn't back when the 360 came out.
Oh no, DVDs
now,
are still
now
much
it's,
stronger.
It's the standard for multiple reasons.
Yep.
Not only for movies but for games, and it just makes more sense. You can get a lot more on a Blu-ray than you can on a DVD.
Yeah, and well, it just makes more sense. Like I know, just because I've had more experience with this game, but like Battlefield 3 for PS3 came on one disc because it was a Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But on 360, it had to be 2 discs, and if you didn't install the second disc, which was a high-resolution textures, the game looked terrible. And so, but that's just because DVDs were too tiny to handle it. And so it just makes more sense, especially with how high-res graphics, HD gaming is coming in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what everybody wants now. And if you can't hold it on your media, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So I did hear, though, that it sounds like Microsoft is going to be trying to subsidize, kind of like how you have your cell phone. Mm-hmm. They'll be offering a standalone console, which will be, someone quoted the price $500. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I saw. And then they were looking at having a subsidized model, which would only cost you $99 up front, but you'd have to pay probably $10 to $15 a month in order to use it. Now, I don't know if that included a live account.
Well, that was actually, that was, I think, something they were originally planning to do with the 360.
Right.
But as far as 720 goes, we know nothing yet.
Right. Well, that's what I heard, actually.
Yeah.
I had heard that not too long ago. So,
yeah.
Again,
I think they had talked about that, and then it kind of, the rumors were quelled, and that's not actually happening.
Right. So we'll see. The rumor mill is still turning, and we won't actually know until Microsoft officially reveals what their magic little box will look like and all that it includes. But if they do go that way, it's definitely an interesting route. I don't know what I think of subsidized console.
Yeah.
That's kind of odd, but...
Yeah, I think the idea is they want to have one that's more for just general entertainment as opposed to video games.
Sure.
And, I don't know. For me, it doesn't really matter because I'm not going to buy one either way. I just have no interest.
Well, I won't either, but, if that extra $15 is true, and you can get a console for $100, and it came with a live account, that would probably be
I'm pretty sure
worth
what
it.
it's supposed to be, from what I remember hearing, was that it would be like you have to have a subscription to Live for like a year in order to get it for that cheap. Which means basically you end up paying the same amount, but you get the Live account. So.
Right. Well, and that would be the difference. If you're already going to buy a console and get a Live account anyhow, then it would make more sense. But like I said, we'll kind of have to wait and see what this really entails.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it compares with Sony.
Yeah, I probably will check out the event, after it airs, just to see.
Oh, sure.
Everything about it. I'm hoping that their event is not as boring as the PlayStation one. Because that one was just way too long.
That's why I read the summary.
Yeah, I watched it just because I was really curious, and I really hoped that they were just going to show something that would blow me out of the water, but there was nothing that excited me at all, and the only things that... Okay, I should say, there was nothing that excited me that was an exclusive. The only things that even got me remotely excited were games that were multi-platform, and shortly after that, we found out that one of those Watch Dogs is also coming to Wii U, and to me, that's going to be the ideal way to play it anyway.
Right. Well, seeing that you already have that system anyhow, so
and I think it'll use the touchscreen really nicely.
Sure.
So,
yeah, with that, the problem I'm seeing with consoles now, especially with like the PS3 and the 360 right now, is they've tried to hold on to the life cycle so long.
Yeah.
It's becoming very dated technology, and from what it seems, they're going to try to expand the life cycle of the PS4 and whatever the Xbox is going to be even longer. Yeah. Well, technology outdates pretty quick, and by the time those systems are quote unquote, ready to be refreshed in the company's eyes, gaming will have gone much further.
Yeah, it'll pretty much be like a Pentium 2 PC is nowadays.
Right? Yeah, it's like that's ridiculous. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm still sticking with my PC though.
Next piece of news here. Well, of course, the Wii U has not been selling very well, and a big part of the problem is just Nintendo has been doing a really terrible job marketing the system. They've been basically not really explaining to people that it is in fact a new system,
right?
Or it hasn't been made clear. A lot of people just assume that the Wii U is just a tablet expansion for the Wii. They don't realize that it's a completely new console. So what Nintendo's started doing is they've actually been they have like these notification message board things that you can get directly through the Wii that will pop up on the main menu when you start it up.
Okay.
And so they've started sending out messages to current Wii owners in order to basically tell people, all the reasons why this is a different console and, what's different about it. Basically trying to get more people to understand the reason why the Wii U is such a great machine.
Interesting.
And, only time will tell whether or not that makes any difference.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's just going to be about the games, but I hope that it works out because, I'm sick and tired of seeing people say, oh, the Wii U was doomed. It's like, it's been out for about 6 months, less than 6 months. And, yeah, it hasn't sold very well. I mean, it's still sold better than the 360 and PS3 did in that same amount of time. But
it's a brand new system, so it should.
It's a brand new system, and the fact is it just needs more games.
Right.
And I'm sure that once they do a new Mario Kart and new Smash Brothers, things like that, those are going to be system sellers for a lot of people.
Yeah, it seems kind of a shame that Nintendo has fallen a little bit in the ranks, between Sony and Microsoft, because they used to be the gaming source. At least when I, was growing up, it was Nintendo, and then eventually, Sony came out with their PlayStation. But even then, I liked my N64 much better.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like some dumb marketing, and then maybe underestimating the graphic push. Like the PS3 when it first came out was revolutionary that way. Same with 360.
Yeah.
I still think the Wii is fantastic. I've had way too much fun with that, but keeping the low-end graphics definitely didn't help them.
Well, I think the problem was less about the graphics. I mean, even though that definitely was a problem for a lot of people, more than anything, it was just an issue of the fact that they marketed a lot more to what they called the blue ocean, the majority of people in the world, people who weren't necessarily gamers.
Right.
And that's where they sold a lot of Wiis.
Oh, yeah, and that's why the Wii did so well,
yeah.
is because they did target a different audience, which was awesome. But the problem is the gaming audience likes to buy newer consoles more often than that audience. And so now even though a ton of households have Wiis, those households are also probably not quite as excited to upgrade right away.
Yeah, and, furthermore, it's just, then you get this seriously idiotic branding of the Wii being a kiddie console, or being, just for the casual gamers, and that's like, no, it's not at all. I mean, yeah, there is a lot of shovelware and a lot of casual type games, but there's also a lot of great games.
Oh, sure.
And I mean, people don't really consider it because they just, for the most part, a lot of people who are anti-Nintendo are these, kids who their first console was a PlayStation 2. I mean, they have no idea. I mean, they're so focused on graphics that they don't even consider gameplay.
Right. Well, even that though is a little bit, okay, graphically the Wii versus the 360 and PS3, the Wii is inferior, but the 360 and PS3 right now are inferior to current gen games, and so even that's kind of ridiculous. Part of it, I think, is that there's a big preteen and young teen audience that just plays Call of Duty. And I'll admit, I play Call of Duty. I used to play Call of Duty.
But you don't just play Call of Duty.
No, there's other games out there, and that's not to bash anyone who plays Call of Duty, because I have played a ton. But I'll admit we don't need to go into that discussion right now.
They're perfectly fine games, and they're good for what they are, but they are not the only games.
Right.
It's kind of like, pretty much the people who only play Call of Duty and they think of themselves as hardcore gamers, they're no more hardcore than a person who can cook good burgers as a world-class chef.
That's a good analogy.
I mean, you may be really good at this particular type of game, but if you can't play anything else...
Yeah. And I mean, that's not to say, I'm to say, Call of Duty isn't a real game. Well, that's not true at all. Like I said, I've played a good share of that as well, but...
it's only one genre.
Exactly.
And, it goes to a very specific type of audience, and, if I cared more about first-person shooters, I would probably play Call of Duty.
Sure, and I do like first-person shooters, but the problem I see with Call of Duty right now is the formula has been overused. It's the same formula with a different look, almost, it seems. Yeah. That's why when Battlefield 3 first came out, it was so refreshing, for me at least. Now I'm starting to get a little bored with it just because I put so many hours into it. But that happens with many games. But, kind of to relate that back to our Wii and PS3 360 discussion, it's different games for different consoles. And, I hate to say, you need to own one of each. Well, that's not true, but the Wii has some good titles, and so does the Wii U now. I just hope that they release more.
Yeah, definitely.
For it. So that was a long tangent to say that, but
yeah,
that's all right.
Well, speaking of Call of Duty, before I move on to the other news items, there's actually, they've officially announced the new Call of Duty game coming out this year. It's called Call of Duty Ghosts.
Okay.
My guess is it's probably, more people who are, focused on being hidden, stealth, that sort of thing.
Right.
But, I don't know much about it other than it's called Ghosts. I'm just kind of guessing.
Right. Yeah, I had heard the name, and then that was about all that I had heard. So, yeah, I'm not so sure about the Call of Duty right now. I'm pretty tired of the series at the moment.
Yeah.
I did enjoy playing zombies quite a bit.
Yeah.
But that was mostly because it was something different.
Mm-hmm.
They just need something that's a little more fresh, a little different style to it. But apparently people are still liking it because they're still buying a lot of it.
Oh, of course.
I don't know. I'd rather go with something different.
Without ranting about it, I'll just say that basically the Call of Duty games are a lot more similar to each other than all of the Mario games are to each other, unless you talk about the new Super Mario Brothers games, which are basically all the same game. just slightly different levels. Apart from that, there's very little difference.
Right.
But that's pretty much... New Super Mario Brothers is the equivalent of the Call of Duty franchise in general.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, moving on.
Yeah, we don't want to get stuck on that or offend.
Some things that have been said. Of course, Wii U's first-party lineup so far isn't all that stellar. Mostly just because...
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's really just because they've been understaffed. That's one of the news items here is... basically, they've talked to Satoru Iwata, who's the global president of Nintendo, and the CEO, and he just basically says, that really what it comes down to is they've just been understaffed. It's taken more resources to complete certain games, and they've had to move people around a little bit, and so things just take longer. And there have been some people, of course, who have been talking about some developers who have been saying that the Wii U is underpowered, and then others who say, that if you work with it, it's actually an excellent machine, and that you just have to work at it. You can't expect it to be exactly the same as everything else.
Right.
You just got to put in some effort. And
well, I feel like that's a problem all developers have when a new system comes out. Is it's just they're not used to it, and they have to kind of fine tune it. That's why we see like launch games, and then when a system's later in its life cycle, the graphics and playability is much different because they figured it out. They've learned the system.
Yeah. But yeah, pretty much, Nintendo does desire to put out more good quality first party games. They're hoping to be releasing some stuff during the summer, and there's probably even some stuff that hasn't been announced yet that they're going to be releasing this summer. And just kind of bringing more of what people are looking for.
Right.
Is kind of what President Iwata has been saying.
Well, and I will say with Nintendo, they definitely, when they do release a game, it is definitely of high quality, and which is nice. Some people are just really used to a company just spitting out games, every year, or maybe not quite as frequent, but still.
Yeah.
And I would prefer a company to take their time more, even if that means I have to wait, unfortunately. But I like a more polished game from the get-go.
Yeah.
Personally speaking, at least.
Definitely. I mean, I agree completely. I mean, that's what they've been doing with Call of Duty and with Assassin's Creed. And unfortunately, from what most people have said, the Assassin's Creed franchise is just one of those where, they look pretty, but if they maybe had a little bit more time in between games, they could learn to fix the problems.
Right.
With the newer ones, but since they release one and at the same time the next one is being developed, and it's getting close to its final stages, it's just they don't get a chance to really fix the problems.
No time for feedback from the community to have any effect.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I can't comment too much on those, except that I have been trying to play the first Assassin's Creed, and I don't know. I'm kind of stuck. I'm actually getting bored in the game, and I don't know if it seems very repetitive, and maybe that's just because I haven't played enough. But I don't know. I'm just used to games that are much more different and active. This one, it seems to be using the exact same formula over and over again. Yeah. And I know it's an assassination game, but it's like, okay, go to a city, do a couple side missions, talk to this person, talk to that person, follow this person, maybe kill this person to understand your main target, then go kill your main target and then get out of there. And while that doesn't sound too bad, when you do it 3-4 times in a row, and it's the exact same side missions, it's just the city looks slightly different.
Yeah.
But the people all even look the same. I don't know, it got old to me, which is surprising, because I really do like that type of game. Mm-hmm. And I had high hopes for it. I don't know, maybe it's just because I need to power through and actually try more. But it hasn't held my interest at all, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've heard that. I think the second one is supposed to be a lot better than the first one.
Yeah,
from what I've heard.
Well, and I've heard by a lot of people that they said, it's kind of repetitive, but once you get to the ending's really interesting. It will make you want to keep playing. And I don't know, it seems hard to get through. That's for sure.
Well, another Nintendo news item that's kind of interesting is that. According to the Japan Times, Nintendo will probably be bringing mobile apps to the Wii U.
Interesting.
So the kind of stuff that's on iOS and Android.
Right.
That they'll be providing some type of conversion tool so that it can increase their sales, really, is what it comes down to. And that would be kind of interesting to see. I mean, personally, I could care less because I buy the Nintendo stuff with the games.
Right.
I don't care about the apps or even the mobile games in general. For the most part, I'm pretty much just someone who goes for, the occasional downloadable game, but mostly just the retail releases.
Right. Well, I find with me, at least, I got a tablet and I have an Android phone and whatnot, and I get these casual games like Angry Birds and all those, and I play them for 2-3 days straight, and then I never open them again.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's how it always seems to be, even though, I've played my share of Angry Birds, but it's usually I'll download it, play a spurt, and then I got like 3 copies of different Angry Birds on my phone that I haven't opened in months.
Yeah, it was pretty much like that for me with Angry Birds. I mean, I have it on PC, and it's great on PC, and
Sure.
I played for a while, but after a bit, I just kind of got bored of it.
Yeah.
I mean, the major thing is that while there's a decent amount of challenge, the challenge is just kind of like. Well, I should back up. I'm kind of more of a perfectionist, as you know, and so
Yes.
I have to get
You 3-star everything.
I have to
don't
get the 3 stars, and so I haven't even come close to finishing the game just because of the fact that I wanted to get the 3 stars on everything, and I just got stuck on a couple of them. And, I mean, ultimately, it's just not one of those games that kept me going. Now, with other games like Plants vs. Zombies,
That one was strangely addicting.
that one I loved, and I played all the way through that one, and I haven't touched it since.
Right.
Um,
See, even that one, I didn't actually finish it. I played quite a bit, and I haven't touched it yet again.
yeah,
So, I don't know, that's one I probably should look at.
yeah, it is a great game.
Oh, I played it for 2-3
Yeah.
days straight, addictively, and haven't touched it again.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's the casual games are very fun, but they don't hold my interest for
Exactly,
long.
it's just because there's not really any depth to
Right.
them, and so you just get kind of bored of it. I mean, it's like it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but it's it's really addictive at first, and then it just gets boring
Right.
because you want something that has more meat to it.
Yeah. Well, and that was kind of the same with like the Infinity Blade games. I have
Mhm.
Infinity Blade 1
Yeah.
and 2, and they look awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did, but they look amazing.
Yeah.
And the game's style is very fun. They use the gyro sensor and the swiping with your fingers and whatnot to be really fun combat. But I beat the first one and played a bunch of the second one 2-3 days again, and it's just still sitting there on my tablet.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Plants vs. Zombies, they're actually releasing a second one in July.
Okay.
It's called Plants vs. Zombies 2, It's About Time.
It's about time. Excellent.
So, yeah, I mean, there's not really any details about the game yet.
Right.
But they are releasing one in July, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to rush to get it because I have so many other games, and, once again, it's one of those where I would probably power all the way through it and finish the game, but I just have so many other games that I want to play that unless they offer it, like, for $1, I'm probably not going to buy it.
Well, I got lucky and I hit up the Apple Store app of the week for Plant vs. Zombies and got it for free. So that was kind of awesome.
Yeah,
I like free
definitely.
stuff.
Yeah, I think I paid $10 for it because I got it through Steam. That was actually the first game I bought through Steam because I was just looking for a cheap version of the game. Because otherwise, it was like $30 or $40.
Wow, I didn't believe
Actually, no,
it.
I guess it was probably $20. But even still, $10 was a lot cheaper at the time. And that was the first game I bought. And then, of course, from there, I now have over a dozen different games on Steam.
Yeah, my
Mostly
Steam library is
purchased through
growing.
Sales. But yeah, this one I personally don't care much about, but you might care about. They just announced The Sims 4.
I've seen some of The Sims 2 played, but didn't ever really hold my interest.
Yeah, this one, I mean, the third one was an online-only thing, I guess, and the fourth one is playable offline, but it's one of those games where like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I played a little bit of The Sims on a Game Boy Advance, and it was sort of fun for a little bit, but it just got boring.
That's the same company that does SimCity, correct?
I would assume.
I think so. And,
yeah, it's an EA game.
Yeah, okay. And speaking of that, it I don't know if you've heard of all the problems plagued at release for SimCity, the newest version. It just seems a little ridiculous, though, to have a game that you just bought and not being able to play it offline, personally. I mean, I understand if it was an online-only game like, an MMO.
Yeah.
But it's a little ridiculous. It seems like the company's trying to hold too tight of a leash on a game that it already sold you. I don't know.
Yeah.
How would I think of something like that? A little odd, for sure.
Last week we talked about the fact that Nintendo's not going to have an E3 event.
Right.
Or, not a traditional one. Here's the latest article. Nintendo has confirmed that COO Reggie Fils-Aimé, who's the president of Nintendo in America, and Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto both speak at a Wii U software showcase at E3. This event will take place in Nintendo's E3 booth prior to the opening of the show floor and will allow press to try out Nintendo's E3 games for the first time. This year, Nintendo's taking a different approach to E3, Nintendo said. We're giving you the chance to get closer to the games through a unique hands-on experience at our booth before the show opens. Previously, Nintendo announced that it will not be hosting traditional E3 conference, but will instead host 2 smaller events in its traditional Tuesday morning time slot. So far, details about whether or not these events will be broadcast have not been revealed, but we've reached out to Nintendo for additional information. So, yeah, that's
interesting. Have to see how it goes then for that.
I mean, I'm hoping that they'll broadcast it in some form or another, because I like watching those, things just kind of get what's going on, especially when I actually have the chance to watch them at home where I have faster internet.
Right.
Okay, so this other news item that I was looking for more information is Bethesda is teasing a new game. And this isn't The Evil Within. The Evil Within, I guess, is, it's being published by Bethesda in the U.S., but this is an actual Bethesda proper game.
Interesting.
All they've done so far is show some images. They've done through their Twitter with the hashtag 1960.
Huh.
And it's like a technical looking kind of game. It's hard to tell, exactly what it's supposed to be, and we'll obviously have to wait, but should be interesting.
Right. Yeah, Bethesda's definitely has some interesting games that they've already released, so I'll be curious to see what this one turns into. I'm just not... I don't know, a lot of people have been turned off by Bethesda, at least for the PS3, with the terrible Skyrim problems that have plagued the PS3. And I was to say I was pretty disappointed because I had always thought they were a good developer. But now that they finally fixed that, and some of the other games I've played are excellent by them, so we'll have to see. Definitely worth still checking into.
Yeah,
on that.
I'll be interested to see what else they reveal, but so far there's been nothing new. I mean, they've just revealed like 2 images so far.
Interesting. I always kind of like when companies do these little teasers and gets people thinking and talking. It's good press, really, for them.
Definitely.
Because it gets, the forums go abuzz, and it's always funny to read what people think it is. And then when it's released, it's not even closer, or some people are closer than they think. It's really funny to watch.
Okay, well, that pretty much does it for news.
All right.
So let's move on to our most anticipated games and movies of this year. So why don't we start off with games? So what are your most anticipated games for this year? And it doesn't have to be any specific number, just in general.
Oh man, now you got me trying to think about what's coming out. I'm gonna cheat, and they're already out. But most anticipated for ones that I will probably be purchasing, for me at least, will be Tomb Raider and BioShock Infinite.
Nice.
Those, like I said, I'm kind of cheating because they're already released.
Yeah.
But those are so high on my list right now. If I wasn't such a cheapskate, I'd probably already own them.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about waiting for sales. I don't know. We'll see how much my willpower holds out. As for announced... I'm drawing a blank right now on what is actually being announced. I can't think of anything.
I'm sure The Sims 4 is very high on
your list. Well, it is actually. It's the top, and I'm lying right now. But it could be. No. I'm gonna shirk off the question and force it on you real quick.
Oh, I actually have quite a few. Definitely both of the Arkham Origins games.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to those. Which I can just add real quick that I guess Rocksteady, who was the developer of the other 2 games, has given their stamp of approval to the studio that's working on the new Arkham games.
Okay.
Basically saying, that they've worked with us and we know that it's going to be a good game, so you don't have anything to worry about. Even though they're going to have some different voice actors, which is sort of a bummer, but at the same time, since it's supposed to be set in earlier years, it makes sense that they would have a different voice actor for Batman. But anyway, there's that, of course, and then Wind Waker HD.
Oh, yeah.
Big one.
There you go.
Watch Dogs for Wii U.
Okay.
And...
That's the...
I'm not really sure what else.
That's the one that it's like the hacker, right?
Yeah.
In the city? Yeah, that one looks really cool, actually. I'd be interested to play that one as well.
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for... the fact that I just think it'll, use the gamepad really well, I'd probably go
Sure.
for PC. But
Sure.
since it's a Wii U game that uses the gamepad, heck yes.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that does remind me. Haven't been keeping up on the news too much, but initial impressions, at least for me, and I don't know if I'll buy it, but I definitely want to look into it, would be The Last of Us.
Oh yeah.
Looked really interesting, at least from the little bit that I've seen. So that actually could be an anticipated game. Like I said, I'd have to... Well, whenever games come out, I'm always like reading every review I can find.
Yeah.
Because I like to know kind of what it's about without spoilers. And so that's probably a pretty anticipated game for me.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else coming out, but at the moment, that's really all that's coming to mind.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure that there are other ones, and I'm hoping that Nintendo's going to reveal some major games. Like,
I don't know. All I'm saying is, if they come out with a new Zelda, I might almost buy a Wii U just for that game.
They're definitely not going to have a new Zelda this year. I think that's extremely unlikely. My guess is probably next year at the earliest.
Right.
But either way,
Skyward Sword pretty much just came out not that long ago. Anyhow,
yeah, 2011. So
yeah, it's still pretty recent for Zelda titles, at least, which is all right.
Oh, actually, two other games I'm looking forward to. I just remembered Pokemon X and Y. I mean, either one of them. I don't know which one I'll get, but since that's the first real 3D Pokemon game, instead of actually being, all the other ones were always 2D sprites, except for the spin-offs. So this is the first set of games that's actually going to be 3D environments, not
cool.
top-down anymore.
Yeah, interesting.
And
that would kind of throw it.
The little bit that I've seen has been pretty awesome, especially the Pokemon in the battles. And I haven't played the majority of the Pokemon games after the first two, but
I'm just still so surprised how popular they still are.
Oh yeah!
Like I remember when they first came out, I thought they were kind of dumb because I had never played it.
Yeah.
But it was so ridiculously popular, and then I finally got a copy of it, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of fun." And I didn't get into it as a lot of other people did, but I'm still surprised how popular they are.
Yeah,
it gets me every time.
I wouldn't say it's like so high up on my list that I absolutely have to have it, but at the same time,
don't lie to me.
My inner child, especially the one that was waiting for them to do a 3D one on Nintendo 64, especially since that was the time when the games first came out,
right?
And just hoping that someday they do a full-fledged Pokemon RPG, the same type of game as what they've done in the past, except actually 3D. That's just what gets me excited.
Yeah. Well, I know that you already pre-ordered it, so I know that. No, I'm just messing.
Yeah, I don't pre-order games much anymore. The only one that I did pre-order Wind Waker though, because
awesome.
It's
the screenshots that game did look awesome.
Yeah.
So
I really hope that Nintendo's going to show some actual footage beyond screenshots.
That'd be sweet.
Soon. I really think that there's a possibility that this week we will see a Nintendo Direct, because they always announce them, like the day before.
Yeah.
Lately, and they did say that there was going to be 3 or 4 of them before E3, and since E3 is early June,
wouldn't be surprised to see an update to that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we'll see something soon.
That'd be pretty cool. Speaking of Wind Waker, though, that I'm playing it on the GameCube version right now on my Wii at home, and I am, you can tell that it's not high resolution, obviously, but the way they stylized it, it holds up very well, even on an HD TV.
Yeah.
You can see jaggedies and whatnot from low resolution, but man, it holds up very well, and I love the anime-ish manga drawing style to it. It's very cool. Not for everyone, but very cool in my opinion.
Yeah, I love all the different expressions.
Yeah.
Especially.
Oh, it's a hilarious game. It's got so much humor that's subtle sometimes you wouldn't even notice it. But I think it's fantastic. Mm-hmm. That just makes me think, I think it's kind of funny because it seems like the stylized games hold up better over time to me, where the ones that are realistic at the moment are easily outdated.
Exactly.
Which I still love the realistic games because it's cool to see what you can do with the hardware that's available, but the stylized ones definitely hold up better over time, in my opinion. So, and it helps to have a good story backing it, obviously.
Yeah, so where are you in Wind Waker now?
I just got to... Oh, let's see. I gathered the what were they? The crystals or whatever that you have to scatter on the different islands, or the orbs. What are they called?
Yeah.
And I just placed those, and I just got into that temple that rose up from the ocean.
Okay.
So I'd say about halfway through the game, I think, is where.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit more than halfway.
A little more than halfway, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's.
But yeah, it's fun. I like all the different gadgets that you get so far, and how useful they all are and whatnot.
Yeah, you're going to come across like the big, for me at least, seemed like a twist. I honestly can't remember if it was something that I actually talked about at the beginning of the game or not. But
okay.
Either way, it's something that's pretty stinking awesome, and it's what's made the story of Wind Waker my favorite of the Zelda games from just the story.
Excellent. Well, I'm just a sucker for a good adventure type game anyhow.
Yeah.
So whether that be, Zelda or Uncharted or anything like that, I just love that style. So it's always good to play.
Definitely.
Something different.
Okay, what about movies?
Movies, I would really like to watch Iron Man 3. Mm-hmm. I have heard only good things about it, and it sounds like it's one of the best ones so far, almost, other than the first one. But I would really like to see that one coming up. So, and then obviously quite a bit in advance, but the second part of The Hobbit, I cannot wait for that to come out.
That would be pretty.
But that's going to be quite a while still. Yeah. So.
Of course, this year's flying by. So
no, that's true.
Before you know it.
That's true. But yeah, I loved that. Actually, out of the books, like I started to read the Lord of the Rings trilogy and kind of died off because I watched the movies too soon. But The Hobbit, I was actually able to read front to back very quickly. Mm-hmm. I need to read it again, so I'm super excited for that movie to come out. I think they've only done a great job in that so far.
Yep.
So, as for you, what highly anticipated movies?
Well, obviously Iron Man 3 is one of those.
Can't steal mine.
The new Star Trek. I do want to see that. I did like the first one.
I forgot about that, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's coming out.
You might be hated by all Trekkies now, though.
Next week. That's coming out next Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. Before I get to my most anticipated one, I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure there was, the new Thor movie, The Dark World, that's coming out in October or November.
Okay, I'll be interested to see how they did that, because I don't know about you, but out of the newest superhero movies, Thor was not my favorite.
Yeah, it just felt a little rushed.
Yeah.
I mean, mostly
the way
from the
I saw
of how they kind of condensed things to the point where it didn't feel like there was it was a natural progression from him, being a snotty punk to being humble and everything.
Exactly, and I like to put it this way, that it seemed that this sudden change in the character happened in a scene change.
Yeah.
And suddenly one scene he was still the arrogant fool, and then suddenly, boom, oh, hey look, now we're the good guy. And so that was my biggest complaint with it, unfortunately.
Yeah. But, I mean, this one looks like it could be interesting, because, they have that part out of the way. So.
Oh, they have that part out of the way.
It should be interesting, and they do have a trailer for it up.
Yeah. Well, I'll watch it, nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely.
But, I mean, I enjoyed watching the first one, but definitely wasn't my favorite out of the lineup so far.
Yeah, but my most...
That's a little inside joke from How I Met Your Mother, if you've ever seen it.
Yeah, my most anticipated one is The World's End.
The World's End, okay.
The new Edgar Wright movie.
Right.
With Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. In the same vein as Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz.
Excellent. Okay, I couldn't remember
they just released a teaser poster for it today, and there's pretty much very little information about it other than it has something to do with a pub crawl and things kind of go awry. And
of course,
from the poster, it looks like there's alien zombies or something.
I don't even know.
I can't tell, but they're doing a trailer for it on Wednesday.
Fantastic.
So
I'll have to check that out for sure.
Checking that out. That one I'm most excited about, especially because
I love Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz.
Megan liked both of those movies too, and so we're definitely going to go see The World's End in theaters.
Heck yeah!
Which I'm very much looking forward to, because I wasn't really into either of the movies until a year or two ago.
They've been out quite a while since I actually got to watch them. And instantly thought they were fantastic.
Yeah, it took me longer, mostly just couldn't get past the cussing at first. But once I got past that, they're so funny.
They are pretty funny.
So yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing that one.
Awesome.
I don't know if there are any other movies coming out this year. Oh, I guess there's Ender's Game. I do.
Oh,
want
is
to see
that supposed to be coming out
that's
this year? Actually, okay. As someone who has read the book is fantastic, and I really hope that the movie can do it justice.
From what the actor who's playing Ender has said, and he's a big fan of the books as well. He said that apart from the obvious issues regarding ages of the people, they do get a lot of the stuff from the book.
Well, and for those of you who don't know, the beginning character, he starts out about 5 and then ages to, I want to say at least around 12, maybe somewhere around that age. So I could see that being hard for a movie to cast that many different age progression children and have it be a good movie.
Yeah, but they've done like a teaser of the teaser trailer.
A teaser of the teaser.
And the little bit that they showed looked cool, but, was
awesome.
almost nothing. And I think sometime soon they're supposed to be having, like, the real teaser trailer, or I think it's playing with some movie. Oh, wait, now that I think about it, it's going to be an exclusive to Google and YouTube.
Aha, okay.
So it will be, but it's supposed to be up really soon. It might even already be up. I don't know.
Right, so check that out on Google, see when it comes out. Like I said, if you haven't read the book, read it. Stop reading anything and read it. It was a fantastic book. Obviously, you'd have to be into sci-fi fantasy to like it, but even then, I still thought it was amazing. Good twist, good author, good writing.
Cool.
Read it.
Well, I guess that's it for the most anticipated stuff this year. Finally, before we close out, weekly recommendations.
Ooh, weekly
this is something we're going to start doing.
Excellent.
So, what is something that you just recommend?
I just recently finished Heavy Rain, and I highly recommend that. Obviously, it is a mature-rated game, so if you're not old enough, don't play it. There's a couple scenes in there, if you're sensitive to those types of things, that you might want to avoid. But overall, the story was amazing, and the fact that I played it, and my buddy who told me to play the game has played it, and his friends have played it, and none of us have gotten the same ending so far in one playthrough. That's fantastic to me.
Yeah.
He was telling me an ending that he got, and I told him the ending I got, and they were vastly different. The amount of choices in it is awesome. The story was riveting. You play as a bunch of different characters, and those characters that you played as, you almost felt like you were them. And so suddenly, like, I'm playing as this guy, and I'm thinking, oh man, I got to save my son, and I was like, wait a minute, okay, I wasn't quite that into it, but it was very well done. It makes you feel panicked when you should, and other than a couple of possible awkward moments in the game, it was fantastic.
Very cool. Well, my recommendation for this week is Monster Hunter 3.
All right.
I have to recommend it most highly. If you want a version that's portable, the 3DS version is absolutely fantastic.
And it's in 3D.
Yes, and it's in 3D.
Which is cool.
If that doesn't bother you, which some people it does. Personally, I think the 3D effect is amazing. But most of all, I really love the game. I think that there's so much to do in it. So if you like a game that has a lot to do, then it's great. You feel so accomplished as you take down big monsters. It's extremely satisfying.
Awesome.
And getting the necessary items to build certain pieces of armor. And sometimes it takes more work than others, but it's just so awesome when you can get like an entire armor set that's based off of a specific monster, and there's the armor sets are so different from one another in general that it's fun just working on getting those different armor sets.
Oh, very cool.
And I've already put over 100 hours into it.
Sweet.
And
well, who doesn't love hunting monsters?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those games where it's not one where you your character levels up. Basically, it's you leveling up. It's that as you improve, you're able to do more. And of course, getting better weapons and better armor. So it's really one that it's a skill based game, and it does take effort, but they ease you into it.
That's
so
cool.
if you have a Wii U and you want to play that version, the only thing you have to be aware of is that. Actually, never mind. I'm spacing out here. No, the Wii U version is great if you want to be able to play online with multiple people.
Oh, I see.
Because the 3DS version, you can't really play online, or at least not easily.
Don't they have you can play with 3DS and
Yes.
the Wii U at the same time?
Yes, you can
so
do. You can
cross-platform.
You can do multiple Wii U's, or you can do Wii U and up to 4 3DSs.
See, that's pretty unique.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot that you can do, but you have to purchase individual copies,
right,
depending on what system
right.
you want it. And I just have the 3DS version, so it's a lot more of a pain to actually be able to play online. But so far, I've just been focusing on all the single-player stuff. And
cool.
Yeah, it's an amazing game.
Awesome.
Lots of fun.
Well, and that's our weekly recommendations. If you haven't looked into those games, I recommend checking them out and at least reading a review or two, see what they're all about.
Definitely. Check out some videos, especially the multiplayer hunts. Those are the most fun to watch because, especially if they have commentary as they're doing it, because I don't know, it's just really interesting.
Cool.
And it's a lot of fun, especially as you work at it and you get better and you improve as a player.
Yeah. With Heavy Rain, it is a PS3 exclusive, and like I said, if you're sensitive to certain mature content, be careful with that. But definitely worth looking into.
Pretty much avoid the game if you're 17 or younger.
There you go.
Or under 17, I guess, technically, right. Because if you can't purchase the game on your own, then you shouldn't be playing it.
But it's a pretty good story overall. So,
okay. Well, as we're closing out here, if you would like to subscribe to our podcast, you can do so via our Blogspot website, or excuse me, not Blogspot, WordPress. It is our blog where we have a link to an external site where our podcast is hosted. That is frozengamerspodcast.wordpress.com. You can email us directly at frozengamerspodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at FrozenGamers. And if you want to just listen to the podcast without any specific details about what each week is going to be, you can go to the podcast hosting site, which is frozengamerspodcast.podomatic.com. And that's our show for this week, show
awesome.
002.
All right, and be sure to, if you have any questions, email us for sure. We definitely will be checking that, and would love to talk about whatever you have to say. And we're trying to get iTunes to work, so stay tuned for that. We'll let you know if we get it on there. But as of right now, go to the WordPress for our link.